I've had the Pixel 3 XL for a few days now, so I want to give you guys my thoughts about my experience with the Pixel after this time of use. I'll have a full review coming out really soon, about a month or so. I like to try to give a little bit more time than some of these reviews that you see pop up the day of release. Anyways, that's a whole other like rant video. I'll talk about that another time. But let's talk about the Pixel 3 XL. First of all, big shout out to Google. Thank you so much for sending this out to me. I was one of the recipients for the gift from Google campaign or whatever that they're trying to accomplish, like it's Team Pixel kind of stuff. For some reason I was noticed, and it's just exciting to be able to get noticed by Google for one, and then also get a free Pixel 3 XL. I wasn't going to be able to purchase one, just money wasn't there. So being able to get this anyways is just a huge blessing, and I'm just truly grateful for being part of Team Pixel now. Yeah, I had the Pixel 2 XL for pretty much the whole year. It's been a great phone. One of the best camera experiences that you can get with the cell phone. So I was really kind of curious to see what the Pixel 3 XL was going to be like. I decided not to show the unboxing part, although I did get some extra little goodies with it. I got a fanny pack that, I haven't worn a fanny pack since I think it was elementary school, which is about, 30 years ago now? But yeah, they sent also a Pixel stand. That's really cool. It's not your typical wireless charger. It's got some different features to it. Basically turns this phone into a mini Google Home hub. It's really awesome. You can set it to where you have like this morning kind of routine kind of stuff. You could check on your day, all kinds of stuff like that. It's really cool. It gives you the news, weather, all kinds of stuff. It's just really neat that they were able to kind of pack that into a phone feature versus actually getting the Google Home hub. They also sent out this case. First impression, I was like, okay, it's kind of feminine looking, but at the other part, the artist side of me really appreciates the artistic side of it. So I have no problem sporting this case. I like it. It's the first actual official Google case that I've gotten. I was also really stoked to get the exact model that I would have gotten if I was going to order one. I really like the clear white. I like white devices. It's my favorite color to get if I can get it. The iPhone XS Max that I got is the white one as well. Well, it's called silver, but it's a white back. I just really like the white kind of color, just really clean. It hides fingerprints the best in my experience, and also any kind of marks or smudges, anything like that just hides a whole lot better on a white device versus black, to where it just stands out a lot. I just like the clean look of it. Another nice factor about this Pixel, something that I appreciate, is that it now has wireless charging. It's got a glass back now. Usually I'm not a fan of glass backs, but what Google did differently this time, pretty much different than anybody else, is that they added a matte kind of finish to it. Now this white one feels more like a ceramic kind of feel. I've heard on the matte black it has more of that matte kind of feel or texture to it. So it feels pretty cool, feels pretty premium, so I'm excited about that. I'm glad that the wireless charging is added this time around, because I don't know, it's one of those things, like it wasn't until the iPhone 10 that I actually started caring about wireless charging. I don't know why it took me so long to care about it, but I like having wireless charging. And it might be one of those things to where, because phones they're just definitely not cheap these days. They're costing $1,000 or more in a lot of cases now. And so I want as many features packed in as possible with these devices. I want to kind of talk about some other features that kind of stand out to me, but also some other ones that I wish that were there, being that it has a higher price tag. I've only taken a few photos and videos with this camera, and so far the results have been actually pretty good. Nothing to where I was trying to get the best shot. It was just like kind of quick pull release kind of stuff, to where I was just trying to capture the moment, which is one of the more important things to me. So if you're trying to capture that moment, you want it to look really good too. And the Pixel just does a really good job with that. Ever since they released their first Pixel, it's been one of the best smartphone cameras that you can get. It ranks right up there with the iPhone and also the Samsung devices of that actual particular year. As a matter of fact, I want to say I think I like the portrait mode the best on the Pixel devices. The iPhone would be the next up. Samsung does a better job with the Note 9, I think, this year versus the S9 series. I just don't particularly like how it looks kind of cartoony, as if it's got a beauty mode to it with the Samsung ones. And I like how the background separation happens on the Pixel and also the iPhone. But I definitely think that the Pixel takes the best portrait modes. With that said too, on the front facing side, you have the wider angle. It's got a slider at the bottom to where if you need a wider shot, you can do that, so you can be able to fit more people in the background if you're trying to do a group selfie. So that's a nice new feature that they have with the Pixel this time. I appreciate the group selfie a lot, because at weddings, I like to try to get a selfie with my clients, with the bride and groom, all in one big shot. Also my team that's around me. So trying to get probably about 3 to 4 people in one shot can be kind of challenging, but it's not going to be like that. I got a wedding this weekend, so I'll be able to post that when that happens. I haven't been able to experience it yet because I didn't have a wedding this weekend, but next weekend I got one, so stay tuned to social media. I'll have all those links down below to where you can follow and see that shot when it happens for actual real world purposes, not just trying to test it out, see how it does. So essentially we're talking about the camera. The camera features are getting better in the Google app. It doesn't have everything that I want, like hyperlapse. It's just one feature that I wish that they would add, also more manual controls. So if they would add the hyperlapse and manual controls, I would really appreciate that. So hopefully maybe in a software update, or I hate that excuse too. But it's not necessarily a flaw. Like so many times I hear like these excuses, and well, maybe a software patch can fix it. It's kind of not like that, but like that. Anyways, what I want to say is like I want more features packed into the camera app. Samsung does an awesome job with that. The iPhone, it's a bit better. They could have some more manual controls on that side of stuff, but Samsung definitely takes the cake, takes the crown when you're kind of considering that kind of stuff. But as far as the quality goes of what you're getting, photos and videos look really nice with this. Something missing with the camera that I think should be added is 4K with 60 frames per second. It's only got 30 frames per second. So if you want slow motion with 4K, you're just not going to get that with this camera app. Everything else about the camera is phenomenal. You're going to get great results regardless of how you use it. The stabilization is really good. Just no other complaints with the camera. All right, the speakers. The speakers is something I appreciate, but I still have a complaint about a little bit. And it's not like these things aren't huge deal breakers. That's the thing I'm really appreciating about the Pixel 3 XL this time, is that there's nothing deal breaking about it. The first Pixel had that really bad halo effect. The Pixel 2, it had that really crappy looking screen, and I'll get to that in a second. But this time around, it's just, there's no deal breakers to where I don't want to use the phone. It's a fantastic experience so far. But back to the speakers. The speakers, I like having front-facing speakers because I like the sound coming at me instead of away from me. However, it feels like the sound travels through the device, and it's one of those things you almost have to kind of hold to know what I'm talking about. It's not like the Pixel 2. The Pixel 2, the volume-wise is lower on the Pixel 2, but better on the Pixel 3. I just don't really like the quality of sound. It's not horrible, I just don't like it as much as other devices like the iPhone or Samsung. Software-wise, the gestures is a little choppy. It's not, again, horrible. Nothing that I'm saying is horrible. It's just kind of like more preferences or just stuff that could be polished later on. So with iOS 11, it was a choppy update. There was just stuff that wasn't optimized for the OS as far as apps go, and just a few other things even within just the Apple system itself. It's kind of like that this time around with the Pixel 3 XL. Android has more gestures now than it did ever before. There's just times to where like things are overlapping. Even their own apps, like the YouTube Studio app, isn't optimized for this notch area. I'm surprised I haven't even gone into the notch kind of issue yet. Let me just get to that, and I won't even mention it again as far as in-depth kind of stuff. I don't like notches. I think they're ugly. I would rather have a thicker bezel at the top versus all that. If you want some really cool jokes about the notch, go watch Jonathan Morrison's video. He's got Scooter McGruger in there, and yeah, they're just priceless kind of jokes about it. So moving on from the notch. If you want to hide the notch, download the app, I don't even know what it's called. I'll leave a link down below. I use it, and now I've got this nice straight bar across. I don't even notice the notch anymore. So that's probably why I didn't even think about it, because I got it hidden now. But yeah, so like just the software experience, it's good. It just needs some tweaking. And it's kind of like the example that I'm using with iOS 11 and now iOS 12. iOS 12 is such a polished update for the iPhone that I think that maybe the next software update, it's gonna be a lot better than this one. Again, not saying it's horrible. So please don't get me wrong with that. It's not horrible, it's just needs some help. One more thing about the notch. It's got so much space up there, it would have been nice to have facial recognition, some kind of sensor like that. When you're coming from a Note 9 or the S9, the iPhone 10, iPhone 10s, 10s Max, whatever one that you got, even the OnePlus device, you have that facial recognition, so you kind of get used to using it. However, I love the fact that it's got a fingerprint reader on it versus the iPhone. Like if Face ID doesn't work, you're gonna type in your code, but this has the fingerprint reader on the back in a nice spot. It's just natural, a lot better placement than the Galaxy devices, in my opinion at least. And so I don't really complain about not having facial ID. It's just sometimes when you have it on a stand, you got the Pixel stand now, if you just kind of interact with the device, maybe tap the screen, it would turn on and then facial recognition come on. That's pretty nice, because otherwise you have to swipe, put in your passcode, or take the phone off the stand and then use it. So Face ID would be nice to have onto these Pixel devices. Storage-wise, I would like to have seen it start at 128 versus the 64. You only get two different variants, the 64 and 128. 128 I think is good enough. There's a nice kind of thing to have the 256. I mean, if you think about it, the Note 9 has so much storage capabilities, it's ridiculous. The iPhone, I think they could have started at 128 as well. It's just 2018, I would hope maybe in 2019 we'll start seeing variants starting at 128 gigs versus the 64. And one last complaint, just bear with me, is that I would like to see more RAM in this. It is optimized for the most part to give you a good experience. I've had a good experience so far. I've seen a few complaints on Twitter talking about how it's just not loading apps the way it should be, but for the most part, I've not experienced any kind of lagginess issues or opening apps. I still would like to have seen like 6 gigs of RAM. I'm not talking about 8, but 6 would have been nice. I think OnePlus did a pretty cool job with theirs. They got the smaller variants that have the smaller amount of RAM, and then they get the bigger storage that has the bigger amount of RAM. So it just kind of makes sense to do things that way. I use Cricket Wireless, and they don't have that call screening feature that you get with some of the major networks. So having this call screening feature built into the phone is really nice, and it's actually a bit better than what the carriers do. The carriers are pretty much like a caller ID kind of thing, but this is more than caller ID. One, you get like this message that prompts the caller, hey, this is a Google like monitored service kind of thing. State your name and why you're calling. So they have the opportunity to do so, but if it's just one of those stupid spam calls, you can see that and ignore it or report it as spam. The screen is so much better than the Pixel 2 last year, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. It looks better, there's not this ugly tinting that was happening. It feels like it's a quality screen versus the junk that happened last year. It needs to be a bit brighter outdoors, but I've been okay with it. They included some earbuds. They're not the best quality, but it's cool that they have them. If you need some earbuds, they're the USB Type-C. You can use Google Assistant kind of stuff more. I like that. Thank you, Google, for including earbuds into your device. So overall, I'm very pleased with the experience with the Pixel 3 XL. I'm stoked to be able to have it, to be able to share my experience with you guys with the Pixel 3 XL. I got more content about this phone. I'll be posting a lot of photos and stuff like that I capture on Instagram and Twitter, trying to share my experience with that kind of stuff. So follow me on those social networks. I appreciate it when you guys follow me, interact in the comment section. Just hang out with me over on Twitter and Instagram. I'd like to see what you think about the content that I produce over there as well. Full review coming out really soon. I'll have more to talk about because I'm just going to try to dig into this device as much as I can to try to give you a well-educated experience report about this device. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also share this video with your friends and family, and I'll catch you guys next time.